There was definitely a lot of energy during the convention. I don't think I would have gotten the same experience looking at a flat screen sitting in my living room.
It is good to come firsthand and just be in there and just experience it, at least once. It's like living in New York. You have to be there once just to get what the energy and the thing's about before you can really talk about it.
It having been in my hometown, that was really one of the big draws for me. Cleveland has slowly but surely kind of been on this upswing, and to see them get such a high-profile event with so many folks coming in from throughout the country was something that was cool to see just as a Clevelander myself.
At SIPA, we're always seeking ways in which to educate students to serve and to lead. This was the first opportunity that we had for SIPA students to actually participate in both the Democratic National Convention and the Republican National Convention. They had the chance to go behind the scenes of both conventions, but also to just experience the richness of a political convention in a very unique environment this year.
In terms of being in the arena and being on the grounds, you had these reporters walking by just as if it was any other bystander. Being able to take in the voting process of the delegation was, for a political nerd, a very cool experience. And then seeing those speeches in person and really getting kind of a feel for what the arena was actually like was unlike anything I'd ever experienced before.
While Bernie was speaking, there was a lot of emotion among his delegates, and I was told from one Bernie delegate that he actually had to tell them before the convention itself that they had to kind of unify their messaging around Hillary and control their voices while they were on the floor.
The keynote speakers were great, and the surprises that they did with Hillary breaking the glass ceiling, everyone went nuts, and it was nice being there while everyone went nuts. I didn't realize how procedural it was. At the end of every night, they did the gavel in, gavel out. Each state gets to stand up, say who their votes were for. It's a very formalized process.
The one moment that really stands out to me was Senator Ted Cruz's speech. And if you remember, he didn't end up endorsing Donald Trump. And folks in the arena could tell pretty early on in that speech that he wasn't going to. People were getting angry about it and standing up, shouting at him, yelling at him. To see that build up in person was a really cool experience.
During the visit to Philadelphia and the Democratic National Convention, students had the opportunity to engage with our newest professor here at SIPA, the former mayor of Philadelphia, Michael Nutter. He actually was mayor at the time when the city was successful in securing the convention.
Mayor Nutter wanted to meet with us, so we all sat and had breakfast with him and just sort of got his take of the convention. And then he really wanted to hear from us and see what our take was, and we had a nice little discussion about what was going on in politics at the time.
I had the chance to go to a Washington Post event that was at one of the restaurants just by the arena. And that was just another cool way to meet different journalists and kind of get their perspective on the convention, from journalists on both the right and the left.
You're bound to meet a lot of elected officials, and that happened for me on the last day of the convention. The delegates from New York had a networking event at the Lowe's Hotel, and I had the opportunity to sit for dinner right next to Mayor de Blasio and First Lady Shirley McRae. It was just a very candid experience to be able to network with them and to speak with them.
It's a pretty kind of surreal event. A lot of what you see on TV is not very positive, but what I found at this convention, outside of the primetime event, there was still opportunity to have engaging, smart discussions with people about our differences of opinion on politics.
Without SIPA, we would not be able to wander the convention hall, we would not be able to interact with people. And for us to say, hey, I'm from Columbia, also carries a huge weight that they're like, oh, and they'll want to talk to you then.
We opened this opportunity to all students at SIPA. We encouraged their active participation, and we were really pleased that we were able to send students to both Cleveland and to Philadelphia for the national conventions this year.